Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying your afternoon, morning, or evening so far here at the Insight Stream Masters as we look to continue to find the 8 players who will make it to the quarterfinals. We have 2 round of 16 games left to go, and helping me welcome those games, we have In Control. The last part of that name is the most important. And then, of course, the Muslim and Valdez. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
How's it going over there, Valdez?
It's pretty good.
That's not his handle. It's not Valdez.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Well, see, this has been a problem. You know?
Okay, let's address this
we can
problem.
address this right now before the games start. I don't have a handle. My name is Brandon Valdez. I go by Valdez.
How did you get a professional gaming job without a freaking handle?
I don't know. I started with Brendan.
So
see,
when
my
you played
idea,
games, did you what did you use?
I had an ID, but it was so bad.
What was it?
Is it Hot Dude 2020?
Okay, it's Gruple. Gruple?
Okay, let's stick to
Let's go with
Valdez.
Valdez, yeah.
That's why. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's not worse. Gruple sounds like something that you contract after adult activities, but I mean, it's hardly worse than that. You got
exactly,
to your rights, artosis, which sounds like a beer or, again, something you contract after adult activity. Call me tasteless. That's actually a pretty cool name. But yeah. Gruple, that's right in there.
All right. And
I guess I fit in perfectly, but I don't want to use that, so.
Valdez
I got to think of something quick.
Let's do it right now. We got time. We're waiting for the next match. Let's make a handle for you.
All right,
Cuban, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do something Cuban. So spicy, I think, could be the beginning of a name.
Spicy.
And then your team salmon. Oh, we could ask chat.
You want to ask chat? You want to give me? Does chat want to give me a handle?
There we go.
This sounds like the worst idea.
No, it's a great idea.
2016, right here.
Twitch could give you your idea.
The worst idea is going air against Zerg in late game.
But that leads us then into the brackets, where we currently are with a couple of round of 16 games left to go. And this one's a big one, because it, of course, is a former WCS champion. Not the reigning one, it's because Lilbo currently is that guy, but Hydra, of course, a big name left in this tournament. Goes up against the American
I'm sorry,
Hope.
what was the introduction for this guy? You said, what is he? Not the current, but he is the what?
Not the current reigning WCS champion, but
a
former
champion.
One, but a former
All
one.
right.
But I thought that intro was
Seems pretty correct.
Hey, I'm just saying, if I ever win something
okay.
again, remind me not to have you introduce me. Like, please welcome someone that once won something. All right.
But okay, Jeff, I'm a ignorant European.
I know.
And so is this guy next to me.
They all are.
I need you. Okay,
good.
but you're a
It's
bit
good. We're
biased in this
balanced
because you
here.
played against Neeb. Explain to me why Neeb is currently the American Hope. Because there are a lot of European viewers who are like, okay, come on, guys, you say that about every American player.
Yeah.
Come on, convince me.
He seems to be putting in the work. He lives in New York, so he has a decent connection to Europe where he does a lot of his games. I think that's something that a lot of the NA players have been lacking. Everyone talks about practice on ladder and how big of a deal that is. But he also seems to have a fairly innate talent. He used to be a Terran player, and he did fairly well. He was one of those guys that every time you hit him on the NA ladder, you're like, oh no, this is going to be a tough game. And then kind of, not even jokingly, but he switches to Protoss. We all took it as jokingly. But I remember that WCS, I think, Challenger bracket where he just tore through it as Protoss. And we're like, okay, this guy's got some talent. So he's traveled over here, and I don't know. He doesn't seem to be nervous. Like in the interviews, too, that's something that you can kind of pick up on a guys. They're like, oh, I'm just so happy to be here. Like, this is amazing. Woo, gonna get drunk. No, not him. Like, does that guy get drunk? Not a chance. There's actually zero chance. He's right now thinking about it. He has been planning for this moment since years ago, probably. He's just a smart guy, works hard, and plays with really good European players and does well there.
And on that point, plays with good European players. I mean, I'd say he plays with you, but...
Well, thank you, Sean. Threw me right under the bus there.
Good introduction.
But he is doing very well on the European ladder.
We don't high five.
Yeah, certainly. Like, if you talk to any of the Europeans, especially like the Terrans, he is one of, if not the hardest Protoss to play. And I think a big factor in that is also that he used to play Terran. But yeah, he's just one of many like Terran players that have switched race to Protoss, like, you know, the easier race to play, such as Classic, and he's getting a lot of success from it. That aside, no, very, very talented. He is, like, I think he is a little bit nervous, actually, because compared to how he plays online, where he's dominated players like Hydra, and in fact he's beat Hydra before, but beating Polt and such as well, he looked a little bit shaky in his first match against Kelazor.
Sure.
Like, it finished 3-2, and when you compare, like, beating Polt to beating Kelazor, quite a big leap there.
But surely nerves are out the system to a certain degree, because the first game's the most, the biggest,
But
right?
now he's in front of a big crowd as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think, though,
Forgot about that.
we keep going to the prize. and it actually is a big deal for me. I remember it wasn't that long ago that I too was a pro gamer, and like winning the money first is that first big leap. Like if he loses here, it'll be like kind of sucky because there's all this hype for him, but he will have something in hand. So he's more calm now. And also, and this is something that's going for him too, people, while hyping him, do expect him to lose to Hydra. Hydra is the favorite in this match as well. Yeah. So a lot of that pressure's off his shoulders, I feel. The audience is definitely a factor, and I think that's a big part of why you'll see these guys that do extremely well online, but then they come here and play, even not in front of an audience, but just live, just out of their comfort zone. It's going to be harder. So how much of an impact will that be on this second, or, well, now third day? We'll have to see.
What are your thoughts, Valdez, on this series then?
A lot of it goes back to what I was saying about Snoot versus Masa. It's like a very experienced guy versus a not so experienced guy, and I feel a lot of that coming into this one. Again, Hydra he's a champion. You know, he's been on the biggest stages that there are. Neeb, not so much. So definitely giving the Hydra the win here.
What's my prediction then, Valdez?
Yeah,
actually, hang on. What did the chat name him, by the way?
I've got no idea. I'm sure we'll find out in the
We'll address that later.
Something, though.
I'm sure your Twitter feed is going to have a lot of different names coming your way.
I'm going to show up tomorrow with
Hashtag
Spicy Banana or something.
Spicy Banana.
That's not a bad name. I'm intrigued.
Where are we going?
Prediction, I think 3-1 again.
You're a fool.
Am I now?
No, you're not.
Really?
You're smart.
Okay.
I like you.
All
Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks.
I think Hydra's so consistent that I've never ever seen a bad Hydra that it's going to be incredibly hard for Neeb, and I would say, Hydra 3-1 here.
Okay. Out of respect to our future President of the United States, Donald Trump, I will, of course, be opting to vote in favor of Neeb because I believe he has what it takes to make the dream, to make it all come true.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
He's going to win 4-0, by the way.
Make America great again.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your input. It is now time to head to the stage with Red Eye to introduce our players for the second game of the day.
Thank you very much, Apollo. Yes, it is time for another match on the stage. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? They're ready. Hope you're ready at home as well. It's going to be a very good game. It's another round of 16 game, and these two players could be forgiven for being very famous in North America over the last couple of years. Certainly one man. They are going head to head. Please welcome to the stage, Hydra and Neeb. Best of luck, gents. Good luck, have fun. And we'll head over to the commentary team. And this time it's Nathanius and Rotterdam.
Much Red Eye. I am so excited for this match, Roddy. I have spent literally the entire build-up to this tournament preparing to gush over Neeb. I'm going to be, this is the most honest I'll be with you, I'm going to be super biased for him. I'm so excited for this match.
I can confirm. I shared a flight with Nate. I was sitting next to him, and for the 10-hour flight, he slept 6, and the other 4 hours, he has been talking about Neeb and how amazing he thinks Neeb is. You casted them when they played against each other in that amazing best of 5. Of course, WCS Challenger it was, and yes, you were blown away. I was listening to you, Nate, and I've heard you scream before, but never like that.
Yeah, there's a whole new level of passion brought out of me to see a fellow American kicking some ass in StarCraft 2, and that Challenger qualifier ended with Neeb winning a best of 5, 3-2 over Hydra in a very explosive game on Prion Terraces. Still remembering the last moments, some epic disruptor shots, but they were all long games. Neeb took it to the grind, and I think the biggest thing that's going to get in his way this match is what everyone was talking about on the panel. The experience playing in an offline tournament, he's very good online, but can he bring that result to the table here?
No, I couldn't agree more. And the cool thing about that series was as well that it was definitely more than just a best of 5. It was a best of 5 where he was down 0-1. He was then down 1-2 and he brought it back. I mean, how many times have we seen that? That an American Protoss goes down 0-1 and then 2-1 and then turns it around, wins the best of 5 3-2. But, you know, as cool as that series was, and there was money on the line, guys, you know, a couple $100. I think he got $1,200 or $1,600 for winning Challenger. $1,400 it was, and I love it. $1,200 or $1,600 actually was $1,400. But I mean, that was online, Nate. Right now, there is way more money on the line. And of course, there is the potential to still be in the running for a ridiculous amount of money, $35,000. And that's often where players like Bolt and Hydra are at their best. So winning online, great. Absolutely awesome performance by Neeb.
He needs to bring it to the table here. Hydra has been such a scary, dominant player in the North American scene ever since he came here. Basically, he made his mark very quickly. I think, he rose to rank #1 on NAGM. He's like, I think I beat the game, guys. I'm just going to go play in a different server now. and this is going to be a very exciting match to see if Neeb can live up to the hype, as I will be hoping he will. And of course, we still have so many awesome people. Hi guys, watching the games here in Katowice.
Gotta love the Polish fans. They're awesome. I'm definitely going to watch 1 or 2 games later today, sitting in that room.
Oh yeah.
You know, when we're not casting, of course, right now that would be a little bit tricky. It would be awesome actually.
It'd be hard to just go cast from the crowd.
I mean, if there is a setup, that's how we did it in 2011. I was sitting in the middle of all these Polish fans while they were cheering, going crazy.
Hardcore.
Yeah, it was super cool. I'm super excited for this series as well. We should be starting any moment now. Potentially the best matchup of the round of 16, I think, especially because Neeb did recently defeat Hydra. And I mean, how often do we see Americans in the round of 16 of WCS? It's been a while, Nate.
Yeah, it feels good as, you know, being from the United States, seeing him play, and then, you know, Hydra, of course, he's also just so nice. He's one of the coolest guys that you're going to talk to. He is a big contributor to the North American scene, competing in all the tournaments. He is not someone that's come to play into these tournaments and just try to win prize money without really interacting or being a part of the scene. He's been a very active community member as well, and you see this guy all over the place, but he has the experience. He has, you know, obviously the championship behind him to say, yeah, I should win this match.
Do you like the look in his eyes, Nate? Is that a man who looks like he's ready to kill?
Looks
In
like
StarCraft 2, of course.
it looks like a man is ready to play Protoss, Ronnie.
Well, that's a very good quality to have.
If there's one thing he has in common with other great NA Protosses, much like Huck, he is... Actually, I wonder, that looks very, almost too similar to Huck's hoodie as well. When he's playing in the booth.
Maybe they're sharing it. Maybe it's the winning hoodie.
The NA Protoss hoodie.
Once upon a time, you know, there was Slayer's jacket, you know, MMA's jacket. If he was struggling, he put on his jacket and he won every single game.
And then I think it was, if Polt was starting to fall behind in a series, he takes off his jacket, and then everything just kind of went crazy. But very exciting match to see the players starting to move those hands around. I'm very, very hyped for this match. It's hard to disagree that Hydra is the favorite, but I still believe that if Neeb cannot take this series, we should see him at least get a map. I believe too.
It would be shocking to see this turn into a 3-0 victory for Hydra.
Yeah.
That would make almost no sense considering the fact how well Neeb has been playing lately. This is not caster hype, guys. Neeb really has been that good.
Yeah.
And I loved his interview yesterday on the couch, you know, when they asked him, it's like, you know, so you seem to be doing a lot better in Legacy. What is this all about? And he said like, well, I actually think I had a head start. Since day 1 of the beta, I have only played Legacy of the Void. I did not play a single Heart of the Swarm game anymore when I didn't have to. I just didn't care. I barely even watched the tournaments. It has been all Legacy of the Void, and even though the game has changed quite a bit, he felt he had a head start, and he really is playing like he has a head start. Because you know the way that I see it, Nate, is you know that an American is good when all the Europeans say that he's good.
Yes.
And all the European pro gamers, they keep saying like Neeb is the real deal, Neeb is very good, I keep losing to Neeb, I can't beat Neeb. That guy is the real deal.
He is very, very good, very well respected. We see the admins coming in, taking the players' phones, making sure there's absolutely nothing unchecked on that list to get this game underway.
You know, Nate, if I would ever play a best of 5 as big as that one, I would love to have my phone there just so I could text you after every game.
Aw. So yeah, Roddy wins game number 1. Just get 5 messages from me. Great job, Kev. Keep it up.
And I was like, did you see that bay? And then I give a winky face
Well,
to the
the
camera.
most
And I was
important
like, that one's
part-
for you, Nate.
Say the most important part is that you win the match and you gotta take a selfie, right, Kev? So the admin ruins your Snapchat storyline.
Multiple. And make sure that you don't smile.
Yeah, that's true. So headsets going on. Oh, you know, maps also kind of make this very interesting as well, especially considering that now that I think about it, you know, Prime Terrace is being, you know, a little bit different than it used to be quite a while ago. Neeb being able to take game on that map, it's very back and forth. One of the things that kind of define Neeb have been, from my games overall that I've seen of him, he's very good with disruptors, very good with them against Terran. He used them to beat Polt when they played in the like 2 times in the last month, and he did also use them to beat Hydra as well. So there's a good bit of range here. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's an exciting unit as well, especially when there is a live audience, you know. We haven't had too many offline events yet for Legacy of the Void. We've had a couple, but the Disruptor is that exciting unit. It's a unit that you also absolutely hate to play against. Like, you know, I'm with Twitch chat right now when they say like, Disruptors, dance game, you know, like nobody likes Disruptors, but it is a very exciting unit if you're not losing your own units to it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, you know, I'm sure that Hydra's feeling that a little bit as well. It is not easy to play against a person that is good with Disruptors. Of course, it is quite an investment. It's never easy to get them. And like Disruptors is a unit, I mean, I know this goes for most units, but having one Disruptor is not game changing, you know. Like,
No.
yeah, you can get a couple juicy hits
The
up,
idea
but
is you want to have enough that you can, throw one out, throw another, and by the time that
Yeah.
you're on your last disruptor, the first one is getting its cooldown back, so you can
Yep.
keep rolling with those disruptor shots, and that's
Yeah.
what gives you the power to take a protracted engagement. I feel like it's one of the biggest mistakes that we see is you throw like 4 disruptor shots out at once,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
blah, and then they all miss, and you're like, I have nothing.
nope, that's not how you want to play disruptors, and obviously Neeb knows this. And the one thing I think is very annoying for Zerg players when they go up against disruptors is that Zerg has always been kind of a swarmy race, right? Well, you cannot chase an army that has disruptors, because
Right.
they will just shoot balls at you and you keep chasing, and by the time you're at the other side of the map, it's like, great, I've got 4 Hydras left.
It is not a fun fight to take. We are loaded and ready to kick off this series. USA versus Korea in the bottom left position of Dust Towers. We have the red Zerg player representing Root Gaming. He is Hydra.
As Apollo said, a former WCS champion, he won WCS Season 2 last year, is going to go up against this man. He hasn't won a whole lot in his career yet, but he is incredibly good. It is the American Protoss, Neeb. I really love the look on his face.
He absolutely stone cold. If he wins this, he's just going to be like, he's actually be stuck in this serious mode so hard. He's like not even able to smile probably.
How cool would it be if he wins this and he just turns into a different person? Like he goes berserk
He just,
on the
he
stage,
just evolves or
rips
something.
off his hoodie, has a tattoo on his chest that says Protoss Power.
I don't know. That's it definitely. I feel like a lot of American viewers are probably like that quite a bit. He's got. This is the thing. Is a lot of people we've been holding out for a U.S. player to come up and be big, right? I struggle to think of successful U.S. players that we've been able to talk about for the last few years. The ones that come to the most, obviously Huck the dual citizen, but Puck as well has been a bit of a Protoss hope. Outside of that, for top contenders, I mean, we haven't had Hydra in a very long time.
Nope. Probe Scout making its way across the map, did not spot the hatchery yet on the low ground, but he is going to see the spawning pool timing and this extractor as well, so he knows. I think as a Protoss player, whenever you scout this, I kind of like seeing this, Nate. If it's gasless, it's not that bad, because obviously they can take advantage of it, but now at least it wasn't double hatch before pool, so it's like, okay, your economy is good. It's better than mine, because Neeb opened very safely, by the way. It was gateway into Nexus, which is a little bit weird, which gives me the idea that he's already preparing for the next stage in the game where he says, okay, instead of just focusing only on economy, I'm probably going to have like 1-2 adapts. It's like, don't worry about it, Hydra. But then suddenly it's 3 or 4 adapts, and then you do have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is you need to be able to, especially if you don't get that fast economic opening like you mentioned, have your follow-up be strong enough to make up for whatever it was that you gave up at the very beginning. And we often do see the Protoss open with the adepts, but the faster Stalker follow-up, what do you make of this?
Maybe he's going to try to snipe an Overlord somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. He knows that there is speed on the way, so I don't think he's going to be too crazy with it. I really think that Stalker is just there to snipe an Overlord and also prevent scouting. He's chrono boosting it. If I'm Hydra right now, I'm probably wondering, like, hey, why are you chrono boosting gateways? He's expecting the second adept there, but it's going to be a Stalker. But this Overlord will be safe, and that's actually a really good scout already for Hydra. I think he's going to be able to keep it alive.
Yeah, knowing that the Stalker is going to be out here this early on, that Adept did kind of poke towards the front as well. And we have a Stargate on the way for Neeb, so possible to follow this up with an Oracle or Phoenix, but
No Mothership Core yet, correct?
Overlord lives to dance around the day. Yeah, no Mothership Core.
So in that way, he's making up for the small economic deficit he's putting himself in. And for the people wondering, like, how on earth is a Mothership Core slowing down your economy? We're like, well, it takes quite some time to build it. And during that time, you're not building probes. And early on, every probe matters twice as much as
plus you can put that gas somewhere else faster, like this Stargate. And it is a
it's
relatively
a very
quick
fast
Oracle.
Oh, no, it's very fast, Nate. It's definitely not relatively quick. That's also, this was gate into Nexus.
Right. So the tech is much faster.
Yeah, quicker access to Cybercore. Then making an Oracle before a Mothership Core. This is pretty much the fastest Oracle you're going to get, unless it's proxied, but you don't want to do that because that's just too big of an investment.
That's a bit too crazy. And Spore is already going up in the base of Hydra, so he's feeling this out.
Yep, great game sense by Hydra, and this is just one of these moments where, all right, man, you're trying really hard to prevent me from scouting. This is not adepts, you're not doing any economic damage.
So the biggest threats are going to be like DTs or Stargate play, both of which Spore Crawlers handle pretty well.
Yep, this is going to be very good, but I think he threw up 2 spores, right? So one base doesn't have a spore?
No, he has a third one on the way.
Okay, well then it's all good. This is really good for Hydra.
He's managed to cover all these positions. The Oracle's going to at least be able to scout something, but actually getting damage done will be tricky. Sees the lair is on the way, but If you're a Protoss, none of this should be surprising, right?
No, none of it is surprising, but it is unpleasant because Neeb really tried very hard to get this Oracle out as quick as possible. And when you put so much emphasis on trying to get that Oracle that quickly and you get 0 drone kills, I mean, I'm not saying that, oh my god, Neeb is in a horrible position now, but this is not what you're hoping for.
Yeah, he did kill 2 drones, but he's lost most of the hit points on that Oracle, making it a big target afterwards for if he were to try to get more workers later on. So the setup here, couple of Phoenix, couple of Adepts, nothing really crazy out of Neeb just yet.
I kind of think with this opening of Neeb, he's a little bit susceptible to a big Roach Revenue play or just a very quick Hydra push, because whatever he's going for after this, even whether it's like Twilight Console with Adept Upgrade or Charge or Immortals or this Overseer is going to get sniped or Disruptors, it's going to take quite some time. And if Hydra makes a big push, and then I'm not saying like go up to Lurkers and 2-2 upgrades, no, just make a lot of units, then rally them across the map, I think there could be a serious lack of firepower in Neeb's army.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, it was something relatively similar in the game that they played on this map in their qualifier, where a big Hydra push was able to secure a massive lead for Hydra. And with the creep spread that he's got going, he can get his way across the map quite fast. Double robotics facility and +1 on the way, but what are the Phoenix going to get done?
Well, this is a very critical moment in the game for Phoenixes. Hydras are in production, so Hydras are going to pop. It would be awesome for Neeb if he finds 2-3 Hydras by himself, expose, pick them off. Very expensive units, don't want to lose them. Man, Hydra was so paranoid, by the way. He really wanted to scout. That's like his 3rd Overseer or something, by the way. So it is very important that Hydra does not lose any Hydras. This is getting silly, but there's no other way to put it. But so far he's not. He's not bleeding out Hydras, and that's the most important thing for him.
A couple of stasis wards. Do love to see this spread around. I mean, it's one of those things that gives you a big opportunity if you can catch a lot in there, but double Immortals being made Immortals, of course, very strong in terms of that barrier, buying them a lot of extra damage that they can soak up, but also the damage output they have versus things like Roaches or Lurkers.
I'm a tiny bit confused by the way that Hydra is playing this, because he kind of slowed down the drone production for a while. Then he's like, you know, let's make 7 Hydras, and then I kind of thought he was going to go crazy on units, but then he's like, no, let's make 7 more drones, let's sacrifice a few more Overseers, and I'm just going to go straight up to Hive. Not saying it's a bad choice at all, I just think that if he wasn't worried, he could have made these drones first and then make the Hydras. His fort base wasn't really ready. Oh, this is risky, Nate. 4 Hydras are trapped. And I actually think that Hydra is just going to sacrifice them because he's supply blocked. It's all the way on the other side of the unit. So these 4 Hydras are super dead in the water. And Neeb, that's a free pickoff, man.
Yeah,
you really want to pick those off.
Should actually.
Phoenixes?
Should definitely try to get them. The Phoenix just run back. Pick them off. No.
Whoa, I'm so shocked.
They made it home.
He could have got 4 Hydras for free there, and he didn't go for it.
And instead, he's just going to grab 2 drones on that 4th base. We have a Warp Prism on the way, charges coming in, but the Lurker Den's almost done, the Spire's almost done, and the Hive.
I'm not a big fan of that call, Nate. I really think if you can get 4 Hydras, you should take it.
And maybe he wasn't sure, maybe he wasn't looking at the stasis board. He didn't know how many he actually froze, so not sure.
Alrighty. Spire is about to finish up. I'm curious to see what Hydra wants to do with it. This is not a game where I think he's going to switch into Mutalisk. That would be very silly. Straight into Brood Lords. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
And a Fast Viper as well. Straight into that. Of course, Abduct is super useful. Blinding Cloud even better.
Alright, so it's not going to be a push at all by Hydra. Hydra is going to turtle this one up. He has a lot of money in the bank. Neeb is going to try to make something happen because he's not shown us any signs yet of going up to 4 bases. So I feel that Neeb, I mean, he might throw down a 4th base soon, but it's a tiny bit late, and I feel with this army definitely falls up hard against Lurkers and Broodlord. So you really want to make something happen before your opponent gets to Broodlord and Lurkers at the same time. So I think that Neeb is going to try to push in the front and then maybe send a Warp Prism in the back and go for a massive Warp in.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be really difficult to do. The Overseer has spotted the 4th base. The Lings are already getting in position to dive on top of that and try to force a cancel if he sees the army leave.
But this is already great for Hydra because right now, even when he's not getting a cancel on this base, he is forcing Neeb to stay on his side of the map with his Zealots and his Archons. And
it's like, what is he going to be able to do?
Yeah.
Hydra's taking a 5th base. Hydra is, as you said, getting the Lurker count up, but also now moving into Broodlords. The Greater Spire is done. He can get both units at the same time.
Lurkers are a problem, but Broodlords are a much bigger problem. This is a great snipe for Hydra, and I would think this push suddenly is a lot less intimidating. I don't think Lings will get the cancel on this base, even though they're doing a lot of damage by now. This Nexus should live, but this army of Neeb kind of needs to win the game. Well, maybe not needs to win the game here, but it needs to do a lot, and I don't think it's going to be able to do a whole lot, especially not if the Broodlords finish up, but they're not ready yet.
And coming in, he does manage to lift up the Lurkers, so the Immortals and Zealots are able to push forward. Those charged Zealots can do so much once they get on top, but as you said, Kev, the Broodlords, 7 of them are on the way. A lot of Ling reinforcements, but he needs to kill these Broodlords Phoenix are just not quite that great at getting that job done, though.
No, it takes a long time, but he does get the 4th base, so that's pretty damn decent for Neeb. Of course, it wasn't for free, as we can see in the supply count. Like, this looked really good at first, but 129 supply against 150, no answer to Broodlords anytime soon. And these Immortals are also kind of trapped, man. They're very exposed.
Yeah, with that creep spread, this army can push pretty quickly. And of course, the Broodlords with their insane range are a big threat. So we have a Fleet Bacon and 2 more Stargates coming in. This is going to allow Neeb to try to make that transition towards Tempest, but is it too slow?
If I'm Hydra right now, I definitely just rally my forces across the map. Obviously, you want to chase this army down because that's a very, very, very expensive army there. And after that, you want to attack. Don't turn her up. Don't let your opponent get like multiple Tempest if he doesn't have, normally he shouldn't have the time to get them out.
So you think this is a smart play by Neeb? Because I feel like the reason why he's doing this is just buy as much time as humanly possible. If he had run back to his own base, he might have already lost the game.
Yep. I mean, these Immortals are going to die, but if these Immortals wouldn't have died, he has Immortals on the other side of the map against Hydra Broodlord. Well, Immortals are great, guys, but against Hydra Broodlord, not very great.
And he is getting actually a lot more value out of them as the barrier does reset. He picks off a few of the Hydras, and now he's getting some more time to actually put out those Tempests. At the same time, War Prism is hitting the main base of Hydra, so Zealots are going in on the hive. We do have the Hydralisks, should be able to pick those off. He abducts the Prism into the Spore Crawler, but it is going to make its way out, and he's actually picking off the Hydralisks there, so the Broodlord's just kind of meandering around the center of the map, while Tempests are finishing for Neeb.
Yeah, I love this by Neeb. This is already a lot better. He's still down in supply, but he's doing a phenomenal job in buying time for himself. He knows he's not going to win the game with this Prism drop, or even killing a couple drones is not a big deal, but he's keeping Hydra busy, and he's buying time for himself to get multiple Tempests out. First, he had no Fleet Beacon. Now I think he's going to have 5 Tempests. As soon as these 2 Tempests pop, I think he's going to get 5, well, 4 then. Still that's
really good. And he's adding on more Archons
5
and
is better,
Zealots.
5 is a lot better because you one-shot.
Okay. I trust you know everything about Tempest, Roddy. I've seen you beat enough people with him.
Well, against Zerg, most of the time this phase in the game, Nate, I'm dead.
Well, this army without creep is also kind of difficult to maneuver because those queens are so slow. So if Neeb can get a favorable engagement, there's a lot he can do. And I love this, getting the Revelation tags. The Tempest can attack from very far away. And he's just chipping away at this army as much as he can before he's forced to take a big fight. Now the Broodlords are going to attack the 4th base. Neeb steps forward a little bit, needs to be so careful. There is some energy on the Viper. He takes 1 shot off it, but a Tempest does get pulled in and dies. The Oracle might also die there, a little bit outstretched as this army gets pulled closer and closer. Storm is almost done. He can drop it on the Hydras. He feedbacks the Queens.
It's good, but this army still looks very scary though, Nate. I really think he needs to get a little more done. He has a couple of High Templars. Getting a few more feedbacks off would be amazing, but losing this base is very, very, very painful. Neeb did a great job in buying time, but perhaps it was just not enough.
Yeah, the Transfuse is coming in big time on the Broodlords as well. He's just going to go in for it. First Storm is going to drop on those Hydras, but the Broodlords immediately push the Zealots back. And I feel like, yeah, as you said, those Hydras, it's just still so hard to push through this with the Tempest because how slow they are.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting some decent hits off though. Look at those Broodlords. They're definitely eating a lot of damage now.
But there's still a couple of Transfuses left here too, which makes things very complicated.
I mean, supply-wise, Neeb still has a pretty reasonable amount of supply.
Yeah, but I really feel like a couple of Corruptors are going to come in here to help reinforce, and that should be allowing him to move in once this anti-air is gone to actually just get the Tempests. And I think this might just be a little bit too much. Another one is going to pop, but one more Tempest almost dying. Good micro back here to try to pull them away, but I don't know if he can do this. The Broodlords still don't really have too much to challenge them.
No, I'm afraid that this is not going to be enough for Neeb. Hydra put up a very good game here, very solid, just rushed up to Hive, and there wasn't really an answer to the Broodlords. He got a couple of Tempests out, but he just needed a few more. Like 4 is nice, but it's actually more shots than 5, by the way. 5 is old school. Tempest attack has changed a little bit, but this 4 is not really what you want. Like getting a few extra, especially against so many queens, you really need more DPS to deal with these Broodlords.
And now this army just can no longer contest. 5 Broodlords raining down hell upon this army. Enough Hydralisks to push back the Tempests. And Hydra looking phenomenal here in this first game. You're right, Neeb did push back pretty well. He had that really great attack by the 4th base when he killed it, but you know, just couldn't hit it fast enough before those Broodlords were done.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of brain lag. I think it's 8 shots right now to kill a Broodlord. So if you have 4 Tempests, it's 2 volleys. But obviously, if it takes 2 volleys, then the Queens can transfuse it, and that just makes it a little bit tricky.
GG, Hydra takes game number 1 in this best of 5. Good fight out of Neeb, but just really bringing the pain there. With the Broodlords, just getting the Broodlords and the Lurkers at the same time. His army dealt well with the low Lurker count, but I mean, you said it like 7 feet, what was it, 5-6 Phoenix, not going to kill those.
No, I mean, the timing looked great, but when the Ruthless are already morphing, that's just where it gets a little bit tricky. It's still a very good game, though. I mean, a very enjoyable game, number one. I also think if the first Prism doesn't die, it was kind of rallied into the Spore Crawler, things could have got a little bit better for Neeb. And I mean, he definitely had an idea of how he wanted to play, and he kind of had a good idea for the timing. And let's not forget the early game, you know, the Oracle could have done a little bit more. I'm actually like super focused on this Tempest thing now, like it's driving me crazy. I think it's actually, you get bonus damage as well when you shoot air. Like the Tempest has been changed a couple times over time against Broodlord, so maybe it does 44 damage a shot, which would translate into 5 or 6.
It still does the bonus damage versus Massive, but that was tuned back quite a bit.
Yeah, so I guess it's like 44 damage a shot, and Broodlords have 225 HP?
Yeah.
All right, well, basic map on stream, Nate, here you go.
Nah, no thanks.
7, 8, I guess
So
it's 8.
where did everything go wrong for Neeb? Was it just the safe opening? Did he put himself behind and not do enough damage to make up for it, or?
I mean, the timing was a tiny bit too late. I mean, Hydra definitely played a little bit greedy, and I think early game it just didn't really work out for Neeb because of the Oracle. He really rushed up to the Oracle, didn't really do anything with it, didn't make any adapts to do economic damage. And I often feel if you don't kill any drones in almost any phase of the game against Zerg, well, things will get a little bit tricky. And I mean, maybe the attack looked promising, but I still think it was a tiny bit too late. If you're attacking into Broodlords and you lose everything, I mean, yeah, he was trying to buy time afterwards, but losing that many units and not doing critical damage.
It seemed like if he had been able to just get a little bit more time before the next fight, maybe with an extra Tempest or two, he could have been able to turn things around. But I think the biggest thing is he still had so many transfuses on those queens that chipping away at them with the Broodlords, with the Tempest, was never going to work since he could just transfuse so much.
That's why you need a ridiculous amount of Tempest so you can just one-shot them. Like if you have 4 or 5, that doesn't one-shot them, so that just allows the Broodlords, you know, to get transfused, especially with 6, 7, 8 queens below it. Of course, he had High Templars as well, and getting feedbacks off is very crucial, but it's very hard to get High Templars in range when there are Broodlords hovering above the queens, because Broodlords have ridiculous range.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we don't talk about too much, is that they did get an extra hole 1 range in Legacy of the Void. They can just hit from a little bit further back, helps keep them safe, and a lot easier, of course, to not extend them too far past where the Tempests are going to be able to shoot them. And this is definitely a good place to start here for Hydra as the favorite in this series, up 1-0. And I guess depending on what the map is, since we're only going to be moving to less safe maps, Ruins of Ceres now, this is a chance for maybe a bit less greed.
I mean, even though like this is not the best map out there, let's go ahead and introduce the players, as we're already hopped into the second game over here in the right bottom side. We're looking at the main base of our root player. It is Hydra. He's feeling it. We can talk about the map after this.
Yeah, he's
introduce the players.
Got to feel good. In the top left position as the blue Protoss representing the US of A, we have Neeb. And this, like you said, this map kind of changes things a little bit. You know, Dusk Towers is just so defensive. It's such an easily defended map. You can build your natural behind your main base. And, you know, the third base is pretty easy to hold at the front, too. So if Neeb wants to get more aggressive on this map, it's certainly easier. You have a lot of airspace around your main for Warp Prisms. That opens the door for Mutas as well. I don't know that I've seen a whole lot of that out of Hydra, though. So I guess it comes down a little bit to where both of them want to take it, but it is also cross-spawn, which adds that very long rush distance.
Yeah. So in a weird way, you could say that this map is a little bit more difficult, right, for Zerg, because, you know, Protoss has more time and stuff. But at the same time, you shouldn't forget, the build that Hydra went for is very good on Dust Towers, because Protoss is forced to attack in a certain direction, and then you have to attack into Lurkers. On a massive map like this, it's a little bit easier to avoid those Lurkers. And obviously, because Lurkers work the way they do and they have to burrow, like walking Lurkers cross-map becomes a little bit tricky. And we saw that earlier in this tournament when Nurture went up against Showtime on this map. You know, a lot of Lurkers, very strong defensively, but attacking with Lurkers, cross-map Ruins of Ceres, becomes very complicated. So Neeb has to be very sharp and very aware of whatever he wants to do. And this is also one of these maps where if you don't see anything for a while, always be ready for a big Muta switch. You know, cross-map, that is ideal for Mutalists, not that ideal for units like Lurkers and stuff.
So we'll have to see where exactly he's going to go with this. I mean, is the Nexus this game just enough faster? Do you like the opening for Neeb compared to Hydra with this really fast 3-hatch basically before pool build?
I mean, it all depends on the follow-up, right? Like how much he's going to be able to do with it. But I think this is nice for Hydra. I don't really understand why he took the hatchery where he did it, the third one. I think it would have been made a little bit more sense to put it above his natural.
I guess he didn't scout the high ground, the northern base yet, so he wasn't sure if he was playing close air against Neeb.
This actually allows it, makes it a little bit easier for Neeb to do some economic damage in a certain phase in the game. Once again, it is the same follow-up though. It's one Adept into a Stalker, a slightly quicker Mothership Core this time, so that gives me the idea that he doesn't want to rush up to a Stargate. But if you play Runes of Ceres without a Stargate, you gotta be so careful that you're not going up against Mutalisk. And if it is Muta as well, then either kill him before he gets a ridiculous amount, or scout it in time and then drop the double Stargate immediately.
Yeah, okay. So I definitely agree with you. There's just, it's like that airspace is so good for War Prism, so good for Phoenix or an Oracle. It is just as good for that Mutalisk play. Hydra getting his speed, couple of lings. We have this Adept out here poking, but, you know, not really doing a whole lot. 2 extra gateways go up at the front and a Stargate, Roddy. So he's going to give himself that option.
So it's a latest Stargate, part of the wall as well. Of course, it's not an easy map to wall. Double Stargate, okay.
Oh.
Well, this is a very popular build, right? In the start, you know, let's say 2-3 months ago, it was always like, wow, straight double Stargate, this is crazy,
And
Nate.
now everybody's doing it.
Yeah, now a lot of people are doing it. Most of the time, the follow-up to the double Stargate is just a whole bunch of charge slots and Immortals, and you kind of try to sing the game out. The big benefit of a double Stargate compared to one Stargate is that the Phoenix count obviously snowballs a lot
it
quicker.
ramps a lot faster.
Yeah, and once again, like I say this pretty much every single time I see a Phoenix game, but I think it's very important to mention that.
And the +1 too,
Yeah,
very early.
That's awesome. I love it. But Phoenixes are extremely good when the Zerg doesn't have a very high economy, right? Like picking off drones against a Zerg that's working with 40 to 45 drones, that really hurts Zerg and that really slows them down. And obviously double Stargate allows you to hit in that phase in the game. While if you make one Stargate, by the time you've got 5 Phoenixes, you may kill a couple drones, but by then the Zerg already has 60 drones and it has a much smaller impact on the Zerg's economy.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how much work he can get done with this, of course. Mothership Core is going to push some of these Zerglings away from the third base area. As these Phoenix start to spread out, I guess just looking for Overlords at the moment. There are a few, one behind the main base, one behind the natural expansion, and that +1 keeps on going up. A couple of Adepts being warped in as well. You know, we also have seen a bit, not just the follow-up into the Zealots with Charge and the Immortals, but also just a really heavy Adept pressure with Phoenix in the air, just using the Phoenix to pick off Queens or other units like Hydralisk, and then letting the Adepts do their dirty work elsewhere.
Yeah, because the cool thing about that build is that if a Zerg player sees a lot of Phoenixes, they often think like, oh, okay, cool, you know, I don't really have to worry about anything on the ground. So they skip the Roach Warren for a while, and that is actually what happened over here. Now, of course, it would have been hard to hit cross-map with Adepts on the ground, but Adepts, they do very well against both Hydralisk and Zerglings, unless they're severely outnumbered. But I mean, that goes for everything in this game. If you get the Adept upgrade, you get a bunch of Adepts, a Sentry, Phoenixes, you should be able to kill a pretty damn big amount of Hydralisk.
Yep, so the Phoenix are starting to do a little bit of poking here. 3 drones immediately picked off. Third base on the way for Neeb. We do have a Spire and a Hydralisk Den coming up for Hydra, so he's opening himself up to opportunities. We have Overlord speed as well, and this Forecrawler actually not covering that, that natural expansion super well. And I think another thing, of course, that you kind of mentioned as well is the harassment capability based on where the third base was taken. The Queens have to move much further between where there's Spore Crawler coverage to actually defend themselves, and the Adepts are here, perfectly ready to hold off these Lings from harassing.
Yep, being down 12 workers in this phase in the game is not that bad, you know. It's not like, oh my god, things are spiraling out of control. But I kind of would have, I think if you are the Phoenix player here, you hoped for it to be a little bit closer than that, because these Phoenixes have done a pretty damn solid job in picking up drones. Look at this, by the way, the Spire finished up. I didn't really mention it because it's so normal to see, you know, the Spire and the Hydralisk go down at the same time. But 11 Corruptors are on the way, and if I'm Neeb, the moment I see a Corruptor hatch, I immediately drop the Fleet Beacon and I get Phoenix range. Without Phoenix range, it doesn't really matter how good your Phoenix control is, you're gonna have a very rough time. This could be a mass air game, by the way. This could be Corruptor into Mutalisk as well. Neeb needs to spot this, and the best thing ever for Neeb is that he already has +1. That's really what you need, because without +1, they don't do no damage.
The default armor on the Corruptors is 2, which allows them to soak up a lot of the damage from the Phoenix initially.
He's gonna see it. I mean, right now I'd say get the Phoenixes to safety, drop the Fleet Beacon. Cancel one of the Robos. I really don't think you need double Robo against all this many Corruptors. I really don't think you need double Robo. I think you need a fleet beacon.
Yeah, some cheeky micro here, though, even being able to pick off a few of the Corruptors so far. But yeah, as soon as you start to lose Phoenix, it gets really, really bad.
It is so good that he already has +1. Okay, he's going to add in a couple of Void Rays, so no fleet beacon. Actually, I spoke with MC about this at Home Story Cup, and MC is not a big fan of the fleet beacon. He says like, no, you know, it takes too long, and then maybe Vipers get out. It's better to just mass air units, and it seems like that's the approach that Neeb will take for now. I'm a big fan of the fleet beacon, but it seems like Neeb is just going to get a few Void Rays out as well. I'm surprised he let both robotics facilities finish up in a mass air game.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, because if you lose that air control, then you also have to worry about, forget Mutalisks, like Corruptors just coming in using caustic spray on your expansions. They'll pick them off really fast.
One Corruptor fell, but 2 Phoenixes went down there as well. 3 Corruptors have gone down. I mean, there's still a couple of Hydralisks on the map as well. Maybe Neeb just wants to make sure he doesn't over-invest in air, you know. Like, I definitely would always let one Robo finish, but I think the second Robo was not needed immediately. But Neeb, I guess, is just worried. I mean,
he is bleeding out a lot of Phoenix. These are not cheap units.
Nope, this is becoming a problem, man, especially because Hydra is already very comfortable on 4 bases. Could take a 5th base as well. The downside, of course...
Prism barely escapes there.
Yeah, I think the downside as well of like if you go only air, it becomes very hard to eventually do something about the Zerg expanding all over the place. So he's gonna have a ground army, but I kind of feel if he has this ground army and he runs across the map, he's extremely committed. So I would kind of say, I think he has Twilight Console, right? So maybe get a Templar Archives eventually.
He does have the Twilight. He has the Templar Archives.
Cool. So with a couple of Archons, then obviously he's gonna be able to fight the army a little bit better, but I'm worried, man. I really would have loved to see him continue Phoenix production or Void Ray production, but we'll see.
There's nothing to spot this Prism, so he might be able to get a little bit of work here done as he takes his 4th base. There's nothing actually at the 4th Nexus as these Phoenix move out, which is a little bit worrisome, as he might be able to force a cancel.
Hydra is getting a lot of Hydra lists for the ground as well. This is an awesome counter with these Zerglings. Denying the 4th base is a very, very big deal in this phase in the game. Wow, look at all the Hydra lists.
And Mutalisks actually the natural too, and you have 16 Hydras being built. So the 4th base is delayed, natural income is slowed down. Main base is actually going to take some harass too, so there's the foot and overcharges to help pick off those Mutalisks, but it is annoying to deal with this Neeb. He's really stressing his multitasking. At the same time, 4 Zealots going to drop into the main base. The War Prism is there. Some drones will go down. He sees the Hive is coming in too.
7 more Zealots being wiped in over here. I mean, this is nice.
He's going to try to target down the Hive.
A lot of units out of position, but there should be plenty of Hydralisks nearby. There is a Queen, but the Queen doesn't have any energy. The Hive is taking a lot of damage, but I think Hydra will be able to save it. It's really
getting
close, though.
He's pulled the drone. Some of the Zealots do run back towards that Prism, but no, they're not going to be able to get it, and the Prism goes on. I think if those Zealots kept hitting, maybe.
Wow. Look at these few Mutalisks. They did some very serious work. I don't know how many probes they picked up, but quite a few. Eventually, the Phoenixes do clean it up, but the army on the ground is something that Neeb really has to worry about. Man, what a smart choice by Hydra to just make these Corruptors. They dealt with the Phoenixes. They kind of shot that down. Then a few Mutalisks actually managed to do damage on the other side of the map.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, and now suddenly Neeb, I mean, he's kind of stuck on this army, and against all these Hydralisks and even Lurkers, I said in the start of the game, I think attacking cross-map on runes with Lurkers is difficult. Well, Hydra's about to do it.
Yeah, this is a really rough spot. He's trying to get out some oracles so he can get that that vision to spot this army. But Hydra, he just wants to move up, encroach on this 4th base, shut it down, and lock Neeb up.
A couple of units are still out of position for Hydra. They're still traveling across the map. There are quite a few Zealots. That's a ridiculous Hydra crown, though. Holy hell. Without Disruptors.
He's also proc the barrier on a
This
few
might
of
actually
these.
be a moment to fight. I kind of feel if that many units are morphing, this is maybe your moment to fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of the Hydralisks actually taken out of the fight right now, but he can park these Lurkers on the low ground. This is going to make things so difficult.
Yeah, if all these Lurkers finish up, then these Immortals, I mean, Immortals are great units, and they kind of do their name.
12 Lurkers.
Yeah, they do their name justice most of the time. They're almost immortal, but against 12 Lurkers, they become very mortal very quickly.
Yeah, he's just going to tag this army. The Immortals are shooting at the Lurkers from the low ground, but there's just so many Hydras on the northeast as well. The Phoenix do come in. They get some lift-ups, but there's no pylon here to reinforce either, so he can't really reinforce his army.
I mean, the Phoenixes did a very good job in picking up a couple of these Lurkers and neglecting the DPS, but the Corruptors just taking care of all of that. And I mean, the Immortals, they were very mortal. GG, Hydra takes a 2-0 lead. What a great game by Hydra, man. Like, I'm very impressed by his decisions.
Yeah, so cumbersome. I mean, really having the 4th base so vulnerable and with the army by the 3rd, he had a lot there to defend, but the 4th got shut down so well. And then bleeding out the Phoenix in that position when you're trying to get all that harassed on you, the commitment into double Stargate, and I guess as someone who doesn't play Protoss, it's kind of hard for me to see where exactly that becomes useful, but it's such a it's such a hard spot to make that decision, to make the choices that you need to handle a position where he's got the Corruptors, but also making that massive Hydralisk switch.
Yep, just crazy game, honestly, a very crazy game where so many subtle things happened. I think opening up with the Corruptors against the double Stargate is a very good decision. Even squeezing out a couple of Mutalisks. For a moment I really thought it's like, okay, this could be mass air, you know, if your opponent makes double Robo, you may as well continue with air and go mass Corruptor Mutalisk, but no, he had a very clear follow-up plan, and that is full focus on the Hydralisk. You made a big investment in all these Phoenixes. I'm just going to make sure that these Phoenixes won't really do all that much. I'm going to make sure that these Phoenixes won't fly in and lift up all my Lurkers in a battle, because I've got Corruptors sniping them as well.
That's just such a nice part, because we've seen before just using those Phoenix to lift up, and the Corruptors, yeah, okay, they're not going to kill, you know, the Archon, the Charge Lot, the Immortal, but denying the Phoenix lift-ups means those Lurkers can get so much damage done, and both of them, by the end of the fight, it was just a handful of Immortals trying to fight those Lurkers, but there's just too many.
And I mean the position as well. When Immortals are on the high ground, like sometimes that can be a very good thing, having units on your high ground, but against Lurkers, not, because Lurkers outrange Immortals, so they're just sitting there on the high ground and they eat all these shots. And you know, one moment they all look healthy, and it's really funny because if one dies, well, most of them, all of them die at the same time, and then suddenly you look at the supplies, it's like, well,
especially if
Neeb is down 80.
Yeah, if a few of the barriers being triggered before that fight too also really hurts, as the cooldown on that is quite a long one. This is kind of the position I guess a lot of people expected. Hydra with a very dominating lead to start this series off. I still believe Neeb can at least get a map in here. Winning 3 in a row is going to be really difficult. Yep. And I mean, I might want to love my Americans, but I don't know if I think he's going to be able to pull that off.
Let's see what the next map is. Let's see if Hydra decided to give him a nice map, maybe an Orbital, but there's a very good chance that map got vetoed. I think it's much more likely the next map is going to be, I mean, maybe Prion?
It's hard to say. Okay, it's going to be Central Protocol.
Ouch.
Yeah, definitely be a rough one for Protoss to come back on. Let's see if he can do it. He's up against the Red Zerg player in the bottom right from Root Gaming. He's Hydra.
This man has a lot of work to do in this best of 5. He's one of the most hyped up American players in a long time, down 0-2. Can he bring it back? It is Neeb. And he's not been playing poor, it's just that Hydra, I think, has been playing very, very well.
It's been solid play on both sides, but Hydra's definitely been getting the better of him. You know, that super fast third base that didn't get punished all that badly. And then, of course, being able to handle those Phoenix. He killed a lot of them with the Corruptors early on. And, you know, the Corruptors still always have that utility. If you don't respect them, they will come spray down on all your buildings.
Now, if you guys don't play a whole lot of StarCraft or don't watch a whole lot of StarCraft, the reason why I said ouch is that Central Protocol is not a lovely map for Protoss against Zerg. I mean, nothing is impossible. Protoss can always win. You know, there's no such thing as a default
that third
loss.
base is so out there. And, you know,
I mean, like Protoss, most of the time we say Protoss is a race that relies on wall-offs. Well, not even Trump could wall this off.
Yeah, it's a very, you need a loan of more than 1 million minerals to block that off, Roddy.
You need a small loan of 1 million minerals to get a solid wall going over there.
Yeah.
All right, Probe is making his way across the map. He is going to find Hydra. And the problem, and of course then you can say like, well, maybe you can just go for 2 base all-in, right? Like Protoss is pretty good with 2 base all-ins. Yes, but it becomes so predictable that most of the Zergs will make roaches a little bit earlier. This is not a map where you skip the roach warren, by the way. I'd be shocked if Hydra skips the roach warren.
Yeah, this is certainly one of those maps with these spawns where the aggressive play is what you're going to see come out of the Protoss player, and the Probe comes in. He sees everything he really needs to. We do have that third base that will also need to be checked again, as the natural does finish up for Neeb.
Now, of course, the base is a little bit open as well for the Zerg. So if you have to deal with multiple adepts early on, this could get tricky. Neeb, indeed, as Funka's showing us, has not scouted that hatchery went down. I'm not sure if he saw the probe head out or something, or the drone head out. Either way, let's see what the follow-up for Neeb is going to be. There are adepts. I would really love to see a bigger commitment of adepts. We saw Hawk having so much success, you know, and even Haas as well.
Yeah.
Neeb 3 games in a row is going to go for the exact same opening. It's going to be an adept into a Stalker with a slightly later Mothership Core. If this is a Phoenix again, like, I'm not a big fan of, a Stargate. I'm not a super big fan of Stargate play on this map, because Stargates also, you know, they're meant to let you go up to 3 bases relatively safe because you got
the
vision.
third base is so
Yeah.
hard to hold on to. At that point, you're basically just keeping your Phoenix at home to defend the whole game.
Yeah, and then the thing is, of course, Stargate also means that you have less units on the ground, which makes it even harder. So we see 2 extra gateways go down. No Stargate yet, so just 3 gates for now. What is going to be the follow-up for
He
Neeb?
has the gas to drop the 2 Stargates, so he has to make a choice soon.
I do think it's 2 Stargates or no Stargate. I don't think 1 Stargate is good, so it has to be 2 or nothing.
He has to make a commitment in one direction for this to
There's only one
be
direction.
decisive. There we go. Double Stargate.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see how this one plays out. It's not going to be easy. I mean, it never is easy when you go up against Hydra, one of the absolute best Zerg players there is. Hydra also made quite a few links, and these are links you always want to make because you never want to give this third base to Protoss for free. This is not a big commitment. You just want to make sure if adepts are leaving, you've got eyes on the map. Like, this is what Zerg is all about, right? These units are half a supply. Well, make sure you've got a couple of them running around.
Yeah, just being aggressive, poking around as much as you can.
I don't like this, though.
Stalker.
I don't
Holding the fort.
I would love to. I think keeping those links alive is a lot better. He only keeps 1 alive. Silly.
A little bit less that he can run around on the map with, or
Because-
try to block a probe from going to third.
Exactly. If you have 5 probes there, if 1 probe gets set down to plan down that third base, and then 5 probes jump on top of, or 5 links jump on top of that probe, it just slows down the base again for an additional 30 seconds.
So we have +1
Weird.
air weapons again coming in for Neeb as he goes for double Phoenix. Talk to me. On this map, it is a lot shorter. I feel like ground counterattacks should be a lot easier.
Okay, one thing that does make Phoenixes good on this map is that the bases are very spread out. That means that drones will always be transferring, and even an amazing Zerg like Hydra is going to have Overlords fly from left to right, which allows Phoenixes to pick them off one at a time. So that is the one thing that does allow Phoenixes to be very effective. This is what I meant, by the way. If he had 5 links here, he could just jump on top of that probe. There's a good chance he gets it. He slows the base down, but he just sacrificed 4 links to a Stalker he was never going to kill.
One link's not going to prevent that base from being planted down. So now Hydra kind of has to decide what he wants to do about scouting that third base too, because it is so open. It should be, one of the more assailable bases, but it still, won't be that easy.
So what I really hope that Neeb is going to do this time is be super, super aggressive with his Phoenixes. And if you wonder how can you be aggressive with Phoenixes, always have them there, always have them flying, lurking around, and the moment that the Hydras pop, reduce the Hydra count immediately, even if it's in range of a Spore Crawler, just pick them off at all time. Because if you just make 10 Phoenixes, but then suddenly, the Zerg gets up to 18 Hydras, it still becomes really hard, but it's so easy to fight a low Hydra count. Right now, there are 3, 4, 5 Hydras on the map. With double Stargate, you want to be on top of those guys. The moment they hatch, you want to lift them up.
Yeah,
and that's really what you have to be looking for.
It's going to be especially difficult if he can't get that damage done because we have the Lurker Den on the way now. So that's going to allow that ground siege to come up, and then Hydralisks and probably Queens again to back them up can help a lot too.
I think the Adepts are making their way across the map as well, and that is great, Niels, because the Roach Warren is planted down, but it's actually not being used at all. So this is great. I love this.
Some of these Hydras exposed could get caught as well. The Phoenix are going to pick them up. They have the +1 attack. The Adepts are getting into the third base. Drones being pulled off the line to fight, but he's grabbing all the Hydralisks as they come out. Neeb finally able to get some work done here, and it's just Adepts versus Lynx, an easy fight for the Protoss ground force as the Hydralisks cannot get in range thanks to these Phoenix.
That is perfect play by Neeb. This is actually using the weird way that this map is to his own advantage. Not a great map for Protoss for standard play. Well, let's play a little bit different. Let's strike on the moment. Normally it doesn't make sense to strike. And without roaches,
out of the range of the Spore Crawler as well. These Phoenix with that +1 just absolutely Shrek them. And now the Adepts are able to just go absolutely ham on this mineral line. And the Hydra's still trickling out one by one.
This is what I meant. He has to be here with these Phoenixes. He has to take an aggressive stand with these Phoenixes, and he's doing it. Picking off a ridiculous amount of Overlords. These Adepts were worth their weight in gold, and there are still no roaches. So if I'm Neeb, I send 5 more Adepts to the other side of the map.
Yeah, he's trying to pocket these Hydralisks next to where the Spore Crawlers are, desperate to build up that count like you said. But the best part about this is he's been able to get the whole third base set up completely untouched because of that.
I'm almost a little bit sad to see double Robo now, Nate, because I really feel if he just drops the Twilight Council, gets the Adept upgrade, and just keep rallying units, I think he's super far ahead. And I think he can overrun his opponent with gateway units. Look how sad this base looks.
Yeah, that is one pathetic third base if I have ever seen one. And these drones are also going to continue to get picked off. He grabbed a few more Hydras. All Hydra has are just 12 Hydralisks.
Look at the amount of drones being killed in this game. 29.
Savage.
No other way to put it. 5 more Overlords as well, supply block. Great Phoenix play by Neeb. This was, light years better than it was on...
yeah, he actually got some serious value out of them, unlike on Ruins of Ceres. And
Perfect.
Overseer, so it's something here. as he gets the Templar Archives. Double Immortal is on the way, +1 attack, charge, everything that he needs to try to wrap this game up.
Yeah, I still kind of think that maybe he could have skipped the double robo, maybe just make one robo for an Observer Prism and then Mass Gateway unit.
Just keep building more Adepts.
Yeah, you've done so much damage, and it really doesn't matter what Hydra produces. But I feel that the double robo gives him maybe, in a weird world, like this is exactly what I meant. Even if you're Hydra, your rally points are going to be messed up on Central Protocol, and that's why I said like one Stargate, I'm not a big fan. If you want to play Stargate here, go double Stargate. Make sure that the
he's
Phoenix
killed
counts.
so many Overlords. See, look at Hydra, he's supply blocked into the Stone Age.
This is awesome. This is really, really good Phoenix play by Neeb. As a Phoenix fan, I love watching this.
I have seen you build enough Phoenix. You are the doctor of Phoenixes, I would say, in StarCraft 2. You're going to pick up a few more of these Hydralisks backing off, getting another Queen. Almost.
Yeah, has to be a little bit careful that you don't
want to throw him away too much.
9 more drones in the production tab, but obviously Neeb is going to strike soon. He's going to get Archons as soon as charge is ready. Neeb is going to march across the map, and he is smelling victory. There should be no way that this game slips away from him. And the American Protoss is going to get a point on the board, because this has been, look at the units lost resources, absolute massacre.
Ridiculously cost-effective play and phenomenal control from the Phoenix out of Neeb this game. Just insane. He's lost 5 Phoenix and those 9 Adepts from the original push. That is it.
I loved it, man. I really love the Adept push. Mention it as well. You know, we saw Hawk having a ridiculous amount of success with it. If the Roaches are skipped, Adepts are king.
Yeah, and it is just so nice to see him be able to get this position. Definitely a bit of a confidence booster. He has to be feeling good right now in this game. Just don't throw it away on anything silly. He has built the army that he needs, and there are no lurkers. I mean, Hydra sees this force that Changeling's like, uh-oh.
I'm very happy to see the Warp Prism. I still feel this is all a tiny bit late. Like, don't get me wrong. Neeb is in an absolutely phenomenal position, but I feel that he's giving Hydra more time than he should have given him. And lurkers are a scary unit. I still think that Neeb has this game in the bag, but he's got to be careful a little bit. You can't A-move and walk away from your keyboard and hope that you win the game.
Yeah, that would be... You don't A-move and then step out onto the stage like, I took a map!
Don't do that. You know,
yeah, a little too cheeky.
Don't show that Protoss tattoo on your chest just yet. You know?
Save it for later.
Yeah.
All right, so Neeb is getting ready to march across the map. He is very close to maxing out. There's still that Changeling with his Zealots, the man who doesn't belong.
The thing is, though, like this is very wide open, like we said, and that makes it hard for Protoss early on. But right now, it makes it hard for Zerg too, because that means that these lurkers are a lot more exposed. And also, if I'm Hydra right now, I move the Spore Crawlers near my army. He needs the Spore Crawlers to protect the lurkers. And indeed, this is an awesome warp in. I mean, Neeb is maxed out. Hydra only at 161 supply.
And I love this. He's saying, okay, I'm going to get the harass, and he's just going to focus down the lair, constantly putting on more pressure attacking, causing some of the Hydras to run back in. And now Neeb sees the opportunity since Hydralisk ran home to defend. He's going to come in, picks up the lurkers, continues to charge forward, and will barrel down on this third base. More lurkers are going to come up, but they're immediately lifted. GG! Neeb gets a point on the board. 1-2 now against Hydra.
Look at that smile. He's feeling it. He's like, yeah, that was awesome. I just won on Central Protocol against one of the best Zergs out there.
Yeah,
I'd be smiling.
Very well played. The Protoss smile coming out of him there. It's getting some cheers, some hype here behind our American Protoss.
But I love it, man. This is a wake-up call for Hydra as well. It's like, hey, man, you were pretty greedy on Dust Towers. I'm not even sure if he made a Roach one. Maybe he made a Roach one, but he definitely didn't make any Roaches. And then game number 2, he barely made any Roaches as well. So this is a moment where, you know, you can really punish your opponent with Adepts. Once again, Adepts are king against a guy that doesn't make Roaches. And this time, having the Phoenixes, but not just the Phoenixes, also the 6-7 Adept follow-up, that's where things got very ugly for Hydra.
Yeah, it was really nice to see him use that, and you said it perfectly, Kev. Just needed to throw the Adepts that he had in there, get them in the mix, and once you're pulling with drones and lings against Adepts that are like caught between the hatchery and the Spore and the Extractor, you can't get the surface area that you need to actually pick off those units.
Nope. Great game by Neeb, honestly, and I love the way that he just adapted as well to what happened in game number 1 and game number 2, and also played a little bit into the map. Like, this map was a little bit different. It plays out in a weird way, but you know, even though it's not the greatest map out there for Protoss, there are ways that you can take advantage of that as well, and it can be a little bit tricky for Zerg too. You know, Hydras are going to have a hard time grouping up. Phoenixes can really pick them off one by one, and you know, I love that I said it. Like, even Hydra is going to, you know, struggle a little bit with his rally points, and Overlords will be exposed.
So many Overlords died in that game. Absolutely insane. Supply blocked for long periods of time. And it's like, it's like, oh, it's Hydra. I'm like kind of curious to see in like the score screen at the end of the game where like shows you how long your supply blocked. And Hydra's like, man, I promise, guys, this wasn't me.
Like season average for Hydra is probably like 17 seconds in a game, and this game it was like 2 minutes probably. This was not Hydra. This one was not good for his average.
And it definitely hurts. So we are going to go to the next game of this best of 5 after a short break. Don't go anywhere. The epic conclusion of this best of 5 is coming up just after this. Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the WCS Winter Championships here taking place at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We are about to go into game number 4 between Neeb, the US Protoss player, and Hydra, the Korean Zerg.
I love that flag. They always bring it out. I think
Passion.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Polish scene has a lot of passion. Just think of Emil. Emil is probably the only caster that has casted more games than you and I, mate.
No.
And base rate, of course.
He literally doesn't stop.
Yep.
Just endless StarCraft casting. Goes to bed thinking about new techniques.
If I could speak Polish, I would cast with Emil. Seems like a great dude.
That sounds like a fun time. Sounds like a very fun time. We're loaded in to Laralac Crest for the next game in this best of 5. Can this man in the top right close it out, representing Root Gaming, leading 2-1? He's Hydra.
Hydra still looking focused as always, but this man had a big smile on his face after that last map. Will that continue? He's spawning on the right bottom side, and he's of course representing the United States of America. It is Neeb. From New York as well, right?
I think so. Oh, you know, it's one of the greatest cities in the world, Roddy.
I'm not going to disagree. It is a beautiful city.
Yeah. Laralac Crest, talk to me about this map. We have a pretty quick probe scout, so Neeb will find Hydra, but what are his concerns? What is good on this map?
I mean, with these spawning positions, you definitely have to worry about quick lurker Hydra pushes, right? It gets tricky. Laralac used to be very hard, but it recently underwent and changed, and instead of having to knock down the rocks are always down right now, or they're just destructible rocks. They're still rocks, but these rocks are a lot better for Protoss because you don't actually have to send units down to knock them down. So it's a little bit easier to go up to 3 bases. It's still not a map that a lot of Protoss players get very excited over because of the very wide ramp in the natural.
You have to build a big wall.
I get scared sometimes. Like, before I say anything, Fonka's already showing me what I want to say. Like, how does he do this?
He's a wizard. He's like Daniel the Time Lord from yesterday, man. He's just so good.
I love Fonka.
Fonka, of course, been observing, giving us... making life a lot easier for us and showing you guys a lot more than we could. So a big thank you to Funka.
Yeah. So you definitely have to worry about Roach Ravager pushes and stuff as well. This is not the map where you go 1 gate and 1 adapt into a Stargate and then delay your Mothership core and then suddenly it's like, oh no. I mean, we saw it with Nurcho Showtime. That was cross map and Nurcho still tricked.
Yeah, just smashed him.
Yep. Still tricked him and still just made a bunch of Roaches. Ravagers ran across the map and he was able to secure victory for himself. So with these spawning positions, I mean, you got to be very worried. At the same time, Adepts can make their way across the map very quickly. So this is really, I would say, not a scenario where Hydra can just skip the Roach Warren or make a Roach Warren and then just not use it. Like, it was really funny last game because even when the Adepts were all there and went on top of his production, he was still just making Lings and Hydras. Yeah. Where I really felt like, hey, this is a moment where you probably want to squeeze out a couple of Roaches, man.
Yeah, just a few because those Adepts just do so much damage to both the Lings and the Hydralisks. And Hydralisks don't really have a lot of hit points to begin with, so that bonus damage really hurts. Mothership Core's coming out, Stalker as well.
Still the same opening. I don't see him go double Stargate with these spawning positions. I think that would be very risky. Even though he just had a phenomenal game with it, this is just very different. This plays out different, and there we already see the Twilight Console go down. So that makes a lot more sense to me. Neeb is going to let his Adept finish for now. Has to be a little bit careful. Speed more than halfway done. I mean, finding an opening here would be awesome. You can get 2 or 3 drone kills with your first Adept. You're super happy, but that's going to be very hard against a player like Hydra.
Yeah, gotta be careful. So we do have a big change up this game. It is a pretty fast Twilight Council. These 2 cheeky Lings trying to see if they can find anything.
You want to deny it, though. It's really important that Hydra doesn't see it, and he does see it. He clicks on it as well.
He knows.
He knows.
He knows exactly what Neeb has opened up with, so things he'll keep his eyes open for. Of course, there's possibility of the depth. There's going to be that really fast resonating glaives.
The Adept upgrade.
I like saying the name of the upgrades. I have fun with that.
I'm just teasing you. Yeah. Alright, so 2 extra gates go down, and this gives me the idea that Neeb probably wants to go up to 3 bases. Hydra squeezing out 8 drones at once now. This is also why a lot of Protoss players still don't like Laralac, because his ramp is so wide. You know, even if your opponent doesn't make a ridiculous amount of Lings, and the Dark Shrine is going down, by the way. But even when your opponent doesn't make a ridiculous amount of Lings, 5 Lings run in, you're forced to pull your probes like for a couple seconds.
It's just annoying.
Yeah, exactly. It's more annoying than it's really terrible, but it's just annoying, you know. It's like the 2 probes not mining is not the biggest deal in the world.
That's how the Zerg gets in your head.
Yeah, exactly. But it just puts you on tilt, and you don't want to be on tilt when you play StarCraft.
No. Staying focused, staying cool, calm, and collected is one of the most important things you can do while playing StarCraft.
Okay, so the Roach Warren halfway done, very smart. No Spore Crawlers yet, but I cannot imagine that Hydra is not worried about Dark Templars.
He had to have at least thought about it.
Yeah, he spotted the Twilight Console. Layer is only halfway done. Only 21 seconds left on the Dark Shrine. But what is very important is
there's no Prism or Pylon out on the map either.
No, you do it too. You, Funka. You know what? I'm useless over here.
No, we're just in sync, Roddy. Funka's a wizard, but you and I were just synced up.
We're just an Archon duo.
Yeah. That's all.
If only we could actually play Archon well together.
One day, the
dream. Spines.
Is that a miss? He's just building spines. Okay, so he's worried about using that against Adepts, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think he's worried about like a 7-8 gate Adept opening with a lot of Adepts bouncing around, and having spines there is very useful, don't get me wrong. It's an excellent choice, but he doesn't have any detection, so the Dark Templar follow-up can really hurt. I would love to see the Dark Templars being wiped in like now.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
I thought it's ready. Did he cancel it?
Yeah, no, he has. I'm pretty sure Dark Shrine's done.
Unless he canceled it. No.
He's
Come on.
Make some DTs.
Do it.
All right, so 2 are on the way. Third Nexus is starting as well. And the Adepts just kind of hold position a little bit here on this ramp.
Hydra
Throws
is...
this.
Sorry.
I like this, though.
I mean, it is nice what Neeb is doing over here, but Hydra is much better prepared this time. With the spines, with the roaches. As long as Neeb keeps Hydra busy, Hydra is still not thinking about Dark Templars. These Dark Templars can really start doing a lot of damage here because there's not a single Overseer.
Yeah, and the Adepts are pulling the whole army. The Adepts are pulling the army every which way, so the DTs are going to come hacking and whacking and slashing on this third base. He is going to be able to see that the Lurker Den is on the way at the same time. Drones are going to start to fall inside of the main, but the Roaches will clean those up.
It's super dead. This hatchery is going to fall, and I mean, with Dark Templars, you need to do a lot of damage, and this is a start. I would love to see one. Imagine if, I mean, Neeb doesn't know what we know, obviously, but if he would have known what we know, he could have had like 1 Dark Templar into the natural, 1 Dark Templar into the main, and instead of just killing the hatch, he could have also taken down 15, 20 drones. Like, killing the hatchery is a very big deal, don't get me wrong. This is an awesome victory for Neeb, but it could have been game-ending damage.
And he could have gotten a lot more out of this. We're going to see 2 robotics facilities added on and a Robo Bay. So, okay, canceled 1 of the robotics facilities, so now he's just going to be double Robo, probably into Disruptors, which we have seen Neeb do effectively in other tournaments, but now we're going to finally get to see him try to use these on the big stage. Is this opening enough? Can he transition into this effectively after killing the third?
I mean, it was definitely solid, man. He forced out a ridiculous amount of units with his Adepts. He killed a couple drones, and the Dark Templar sniped the base. Hydra was supply blocked. It's going to limit Hydra's production. Neeb should have time. I mean, the push is always going to be scary, especially on spawning positions like this. But maybe Hydra is too afraid to push right now because he didn't have enough production.
It's tough.
And yeah, that Neeb will actually get the army out he's looking for.
I always love seeing that Archon zap away at the Lings. Pretty heavy worker count difference Funka is also pointing out to us here.
Yep. I mean, maybe almost too many workers for Neeb, because I imagine that his main base is...
He's gone ham.
Yeah, his main base is starting to run. Well, actually still 16. It's not going to last for long, but for now it's just really good. Double Disruptor on the way. You gotta love this, man. If you're a Neeb fan, this is good.
He is getting some work done here, trying to focus on a few drones with this Adept in the natural expansion. So we have Lurkers coming out, though, but the first Disruptors are popping, too.
Let's not forget about what happened in WCS Season 3 2015 when Hydra was here in Poland as well, and he was up 2-0 against a European Protoss player named Lilbao.
And I remember we were casting that series and we're like, I don't think he's going to be able to do it anymore. And it all started with that epic comeback on Coda.
Yes, that's what it started with, and I'm pretty sure if Neeb wins this game, that Hydra is going to remember that as well. He's like, oh god, not again. I traveled to Poland, I'm up 2-0 against the Protoss, now it's 2-2. And game 5 is happening. It's not there yet. Like, this game is not in the bag yet for Neeb, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But
he's in a workable position for sure.
Absolutely.
So we have that hatch being taken on the right side, just south of the main base of Hydra. He's getting his Hydralisk Muscular Augment upgrade, and Neeb's going to go for the 4th base here. Pretty forward position as he's getting that Disruptor count higher and higher.
Yep, and he is good with Disruptors. You know, Disruptors are powerful units, but it's also the type of unit that some players really excel with.
It's like Neeb's spirit animal.
Yeah, and some others is just like, yeah, you know, you got a couple hits off, but you didn't really have a game plan here. This is I hope that he's paying attention to those rocks. He's going to try to make something happen. Whoa, double spine. That's a decent hit already. Gets 2 drones.
No cancel. Kills both of them as they're building. Throws that out, grabs the tumor. Now we do have some Roach Lane counterplay going in here as some more Disruptor shots go. Nice hit! 2 Lurkers, some Hydras to boot, but Roaches and Lings are going inside of the natural, going straight for that 3rd base. Big warping of Adepts to help hold this off, and that should be enough as Neeb still has his army out of the map. Lings are going to try to go over towards the main base, but there's the Adept blocking. There's the overcharges. Perfect wall to stop these Lings from getting anything done here.
The last minute and a half has just gone absolutely phenomenal for Neeb. He just got the double spine kill, then he got 3 Hydralisk and 2 Lurkers with 2 hits, and he also defended the counterattack. You can't really wish for a whole lot more.
Yeah, throws out the Disruptor balls as these Lurkers do retreat. There is still a reasonable backbone here. It's going to be very tricky to push through this, but as long as he keeps chipping away at these Lurkers, they are the linchpin. They are everything that is holding this army together for Hydra.
Adepts are going to perhaps force a couple of units to move out of position. He's not going to let it finish, but he can move a little bit closer. I mean, Hydra doesn't really have a whole lot to work with. Neeb is up 25 supply. Gets another decent hit there.
Yeah, these Disruptors are doing a good bit of work. At the very least, if every 2 shots can at least grab some of those Lurkers, it helps him get so much more done. And the Hydra is stepping close, but the Disruptor's picking off a lot of those as well as Neeb continues to advance.
Wow, this is looking awesome. There are a couple of roaches on the other side of the map, but this suddenly doesn't look all that scary anymore. It does cancel the warp in, so that's nice for Hydra, but Hydra just doesn't have a whole lot to work with. It's 136 supply, of which 7 Hydralisks are still in production.
Yeah, Neeb just needs to clean up these forces in his base and continue to make this big push work. And I love this. He can break down the rocks. There's no creep spread here, which should allow him to continue to press forward and pick off the mining, pick off the economy, and he's actually just built up such a huge number of disruptors at the same time.
Yeah, a couple of Hydralisks being misread over there. Forward blink. This fort base is definitely going to fall. I do not see a way that Hydra's going to be able to keep it alive.
Oh, disruptor shots going up on top. Gets some lurkers, gets a Hydra or two as well. And without the lurkers, without the siege position, he can't really encroach on this army. More disruptor shots are going to go out. A lot of Hydras taking a huge amount of damage, as well as a lurker. GG, Neeb ties the series 2-2.
Wow.
That's a cheeky grin, Roddy.
What a phenomenal game by Neeb on Larolac Crest. Really playing out of his mind right now. Looked a little shaky in the early games, but game 3 was awesome. And game 4, this was perhaps even better. The Dark Templars, really gave him a decent mid-game to transition into. And then the lurker push. I mean, this was awesome play with lurkers. This is how you want to play with lurkers.
And now Neeb
or disruptors, excuse me.
That's got to feel so good for Neeb, bringing the series back to a 2-2 standstill, really showing his great control of the disruptors. He got so much value out of those, but also the defensive play against the Ling Roach counterattack, and just sneaking in those DTs while he's pulling the army from the main to the third, to the main to the third, with the Adepts.
I mean, this game I really felt got decided in that one crucial minute where Hydra decided to counterattack, and Neeb was also moving out with his army, and he just took 0 damage from Hydra's counter. And then those 4 disruptor shots, I mean, he got 4 Hydralisks, 2 lurkers, 2 spine crawlers, and suddenly Neeb is up 25-30 supply. That was awesome, great move out. It definitely felt a little bit risky in that phase in the game, but I mean, he knew what he was doing. He absolutely knew what he was doing. Didn't overcommit, didn't overextend. Just got his disruptor hits off, took down a couple of units, then retreated again, and just really built a very nice, comfortable advantage for himself.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal play. I'm very excited to see what the final map of this series is going to be. Neeb, possibly the first player here to take a stand against the Koreans here in this WCS Winter Championship.
And if you're Hydra right now, you gotta have a deja vu. You gotta have flashbacks from, Krakow last year against
the Polish crowd is channeling their energy. They're doing the wave.
Oh man, Hydra definitely. I mean, I'm curious to see what game number 5 is. It could be Pro IEM, but that map could have been vetoed. I don't think it's going to be Orbital, because I'm pretty damn sure that Hydra vetoed Orbital Shipyard. So it's either Arena or Pro IEM Terraces.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 most likely options.
Maybe Arena?
I would say possibly Arena. Definitely a map where Hydra's root connection can make things a bit interesting, as we have seen a lot of cheeky, aggressive plays on that map.
Queen Ling Drop?
Queen Ling Drop is the one that comes to my mind.
Against Stargate play, that could definitely be it. We are loading in, and it is indeed going to be Arena.
This is it, the final map of this best of 5. Can this man do it? He started with a nice lead, but it slipped away. He's Root Hydra.
He's got to be feeling the pressure, man. Even Hydra, even the accomplished player that he is, he's got to feel it a little bit right now. This man, he had a lot of hype behind him, and he's showing that it wasn't for nothing. It is Neeb. Definitely deserves the hype, Nate.
Yeah, the hopes and dreams of the United States behind him. Have an awesome performance here by a USA player, and he has definitely shown in these last 2 games what he's capable of.
This is a very weird map. This map plays out different than any other map out there. I mean, Central Protocol and Larolac are obviously different than Dust Towers and stuff, but there is one map which is truly special, and that is Arena. Hydra decided to go for gas first and then a spawning pool. That's just a very safe build on this map, because there are a lot of weird builds you have to worry about. Neeb, on the other end, is opening up Gateway on the high ground, so I kind of like this for Neeb. That doesn't mean that it's a massive advantage, but this is kind of what you want. Of course, expanding on this map becomes tricky, and Neeb actually seems like he wanted to expand before dropping the core, but we can see the probe going back. He changed his mind.
He's not taking any chances here.
He's like, wow, that's a late hatchery. That means that you had an early spawning pool. That means that I should not drop the Nexus right now. So if he would have seen a normal hatchery timing, he would have dropped the Nexus. Now he changed his mind.
So good. So smart play. This series has just been so good. Neeb and Hydra have been the 2 guys on top of the NA ladder for so long. I think during the ladder qualifier as well, in points, they were both hundreds ahead of whoever was in 3rd place, only really competing with each other, and now going toe-to-toe in the Winter Championship here in Katowice.
Yeah, Probes going back. He still drops the Nexus without really having anything on the low ground. Roach Warren going down already. That's a very, very early Roach Warren. Hydra also know, of course, what he's up against. He scouted the gate. He knows it's not a double gateway opening, which was a popular build for a little while. You know, let's say December, January. It truly was all about the double gate opening and a couple of adepts followed up by a quick Stargate. That has changed. I think this is going to be Roach, Ling, Ravager push. Maybe even a Queen or something.
Yeah, I definitely think that's one of those things that are really good on this map just because the rush distance is so short. Getting across the map is very easy on Arena.
Look at the free supply that Hydra has. 22 out of 36, making an extra Overlord. He's going to build Roach's men and he's going to go attack. He's going to go all out.
This is pretty scary because he softened up that pylon, which means if he comes up with even just a Ravager or two or even just Roaches, picking that off, he should be able to prevent Photon Overcharge from being useful for defending.
I mean, this is going to get crazy, Nate. Right now, nothing too crazy is happening yet, but with 6 Roaches, 7 Roaches on the way, Game 5 over here. Quarterfinals on the line, and it's everything or nothing for Hydra. Hydra needs to break at least the natural. If he doesn't do that, this game is over. Neeb does scout it very early on.
He's got to drop a couple pylons here at this natural. He needs to be able to overcharge to the maximum. One weakened pylon is not going to cut it.
Oh, I don't like this though, because one corrosive bow can hit both pylons at once. I mean, I'm not sure if this is going to be corrosive bow or Ravagers. No, it's just going to be straight up Roach.
He won't be able to afford more Roaches or more Ravagers.
It's just straight up Roach Ling. It's straight Roach Ling over here. Everything or nothing pretty much for Hydra. He really needs to break Neeb here.
And Neeb's still actually building probes as well, so he's going to come up here. He's going to try to focus down the overcharged pylon. He has a Stalker out here with the 2 adepts. Probes are already going to get pulled off the line. He is focusing down that pylon, and he will be able to kill it. Hydra starting to get some work done here. More and more Ling streaming across the map. The Ling trying to get on top of the Stalker. The Roaches eating up the adept. He's got the surround on the Stalker. Neeb could possibly lose everything here. He has destroyed the pylon. He's broken the natural expansion. There's not enough production. The two of the gateways, 2/3 of his production is locked by no power.
He's gonna get a force field off over here. Not a perfect force field. Photon Overcharge will take care of a couple of these Lings, but he can run the Link to the middle line as well. There is one Ravager there now, but I think Hydra is gonna be able to do it. He's doing a lot of economic damage, and even if he doesn't kill Neeb here, if he kills the low ground, that's all he's wishing for. I mean, he's down in workers, so he really needs to take down the Nexus one way or the other.
And the biggest problem is there's just not enough firepower. The production is so limited by that lack of gateways. He's just going to try to punch down this wall with his Lings, with his Ravager. The Mothership Core does pick off one of the Ravagers from above. He's going to try to refix that wall, but not able to. Probes pulled off the line. The Stalker has been surrounded with the Sentry by those earlies. More Lings are going to come up. The Mothership Core on its own is not going to be enough to stop this attack. Hydra seems to have done it. It seems he has defeated the American Protoss.
Hydra said, not again. GG!
As he advances on in a cutthroat.
Wow.
Ooh, best of 5 against a very strong North American Protoss.
I mean, it started to look very close there in the end on the arena. One pylon getting Photon Overcharge. The Roach is hammering away, but it's always this moment like, does he have enough firepower or not? Yes, he did. Immediately grabbed the surround on the Stalker as well. And then Human said this, Nate, unpowering 2 out of the 3 gateways. I mean, that is so massive. I guess you could say that is everything you need as a Zerg player. Hydra put it all on the line with a very, very aggressive build in Game 5, but he made it work.
Yeah, so crazy to think that a lot of it comes down to those 2 gateways being placed there. They help block the Roaches from coming up the ramp. They mess with the pathing, but at the same time, once you unpower, like I was just thinking about the overcharge, but forget the overcharge. If he can't actually use those warp gates, then he's only warping in 1 unit at a time. Get the Sentry for the force field, and you've got nothing for 40 seconds.
I mean, he almost had a second overcharge as well. He was so close, and maybe like 1 or 2 extra pylons, and it could have been different, but it turned out this way.
All right, let's hear from Hydra. He's on the main stage with Red Eye to hear thoughts of our winner.
Thanks very much, Nathan. Hydra, congratulations, the winner. Really, really tough game for you. I guess you probably knew it was going to be a tough game against Neeb. Just explain what went through your mind. 2-0 up, seemingly quite comfortable, and then it all started going wrong.
I don't know. I had a trouble in my setting before started the game, and I don't know what that is exactly. So I need to figure it out after this interview. But yeah, he played. Yeah, he just played as I expected, but I didn't play well, I think.
Okay. Well across the whole match, or just well in those 2 games that you dropped?
Just whole game.
Really? Okay, so lots to work on. We saw you messing around at one point as well. You seemed a bit uncomfortable in the boot. What was going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's uncomfortable with it, but I need to figure it out after this interview.
Well, congrats anyway, because you've managed to go through in very difficult circumstances. Everyone that I've spoken to here has said amongst a lot of good players, it's a very open field, but they always mention Hydra. Why is that?
Because I'm better than them.
Well, let's be honest about it. He has proved to be very good so far. Ladies and gentlemen, Hydra! And with that, we'll go back to the desk and find the thoughts of our illustrious panel with Mr. Sean Apollo Clock.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. Yes, joined on the desk again by In Control, DeMuslim, and Valdez. Or should we say Spicy Salmon?
No, let's avoid that for now.
Or Spicy Banana.
Let's wait until the end of the day to address that issue. But wow, those games, pretty crazy. What do you guys think?
Well, 2-0 up, and then all of a sudden we started to hear some USA chants back here. Heard the American anthem play a couple of times as well.
The hype was building.
It was building.
Yeah.
I really thought that if he won that game number 4, which he was able to do, that he would win game 5. And I thought it was actually set up pretty interestingly. Hydra went for an all-in that was scouted out at its earlier stages. Neeb set up. I think obviously it's going to haunt him a little bit, but relying on 2 pylons to power the gateways was part of what went wrong there, because one of them was down to low health anyways.
Yeah.
But then even then, if that last pylon gets blocked off, I have to agree with Kevin and Nate. I feel like there's a moment there where another photon overcharge, a couple of gateways come online, and all of a sudden, and with those kind of all-ins too, by the way, I believe he was injecting on, I think both the hatcheries, but it takes out a lot of, if he loses all the units, the strength of that all-in is gone. So I don't think it's 100% like all of a sudden Hydra loses that game, but it definitely is, of course, better off. So long story short, proud of Neeb for coming back and having the nerves to sit in that booth, play one of the best, if not the best player in this tournament, and put on a show. It wasn't too long, and by it wasn't too long, I mean it's basically all of the history of StarCraft. All the American players, save for very few, like Huck and Hydra and Scarlet and some others, have gotten manhandled and destroyed by players like Hydra. And finally, we're starting to fight back. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, almost getting into a top 8 to join Huck, the other North American player in this tournament. It's a decent performance from Neeb, but you know, at the end of the day, Hydra delivered when he had to.
Hydra is the guy that everybody talks about this tournament. He's so consistent. He's so good. In Heart of the Swarm, he was the guy that's coming like top 2 WCS left, right, and center. And yeah, he's having a lot of success. So we all knew he was the mountain to climb. But Neeb, yeah, we have to talk about his mentality as well. He was 2-0 down, and he did look shaky in those games. Like, nothing was really working out. And Hydra looked like he was stomping him, even morphing in like 10 lurkers right in front of him and still winning the game very easily. But Neeb managed it like with such tenacity. Came back, and then he's smiling after each win and stuff too. I really love to see that. And Neeb's definitely one to look out for the future. He's a really talented
I mean,
guy.
obviously the map helps for the last map, that is map 5, obviously helps for the choice of strategy that we saw Hydra go for. But do you think that he was like, okay, let's put the pressure really on this guy? Because in those type of situations, you cannot make mistakes. You need to micro as good as you can possibly do. You can't make micro mistakes, because if you do, then the Zerglings get in and so on and so on. So seemingly the right choice here, Valdez, for Hydra to look to end this one.
Yeah, it looked like it. Maybe he just wasn't so happy playing a longer game on that map. That's another thing to consider. I was the first one to say, oh man, it's Olrena for Game 5. How is he going to handle this? Because I was definitely thinking that Neeb, with all of the momentum behind him, winning 2 games in a row, looking fantastic. And especially, by the way, the game that he played Game 4, the Adepts going into the main as the DT swooped in and took out the 3rd base. He played that so amazingly. That was really a sign of things to come, to echo what the Muslim was saying. Like, once this guy does get experience, he's going to be a hell of a player. But just to finish a thought on the build, I think it was a good idea by Hydra. Really put Neeb to the test. Just barely didn't hold it off. And
put it to the test. I like your point too. Just the idea of it's the final game. This is when nerves are going to be at the highest. Momentum's going huge here. I'm going to make it so that if you make any one mistake, the game's decided on that. And to be honest, that's something that I felt like has separated the Koreans from the rest of us for a very long time. They're not afraid to do a strategy that is super all in and crazy in that last game, and it comes down to execution and nerves. And I mean, this game shows it. Koreans and Hydra tend to have the ability to do that kind of thing and be completely okay. And Neeb made mistakes, absolutely.
And the other part of that is that when you go for a build like that, the game is in your control. You're executing a build order, right? You get the units out, and essentially as a Zerg, you're just trying to break down the front door. You can move your Zerglings around, but there's not many angles you're going to come from. It's going to be all up to Neeb with all of the pressure onto him to make the perfect defense. And if he makes one mistake, he loses. Whereas for Hydra, it's much easier to execute a strategy like that.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We are going to head to a very quick break before we're going into the last round of 16 game. That game is going to be an interesting one, as we do have another Polish player to grace us in this tournament. Alazer fights for his tournament life against Ayasonu. A big shout out to, of course, thescoreesports.com and also plays.tv for highlights across all games at the InTouchStream Masters. Just go over to plays.tv and check them out. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we return, the last game of the round of 16.